Basketball fans, welcome back. So the third place game tipped off yesterday, APR versus Ittihad, and this must be the most one-sided game ever because APR broke the scoring record and they scored 123 points to Ittihad's 90, and this was one of the most embarrassing outings I've seen on Egyptian side. So to give some context, before even start this video, when I was looking at the BAL playoff bracket, you can see on one side there was Al Ahly Tripoli and APR on one side, and you could see those teams come from the Nile Conference. And on the other side, we had the Al Ittihad versus Petro. So Al Ittihad are the only Kalahari Conference team to make it to the semis, and they were the favorites to win it all. And looking at their matchup against Petro, Petro played in the Sahara Conference and they were number two. And they're able to beat the number one seed US Monastir for the Sahara Conference. And they're able to go ahead and make it all the way to the finals to go and make that push to be able to go back to back. So the only conference team that and was the most underwhelming was the Al Ittihad side. And considering the fact that I had put them as favorites, makes it all the more worse. And even looking at this game, they got beat. I mean, this is a game that even when you go by the stat sheet and you look at even the statistics, you'll see that it was a no contest all across the board, and there was no stopping the productivity of an APR. They looked like this was somewhat of a revenge game, especially following the loss to Al Ahly Tripoli, and they took it apart on Al Ittihad. So APR finished strong and they finished number 3. So when I was looking at the brackets, you could see the the conference teams that played tough basketball came from the Sahara Conference and the Nile Conference. The Kalahari Conference, I can say it somewhat was a bit overrated because if you look at Al Ittihad, the way they played, they got at near K in the first round against FS Rabat. They lost to Petro, something I thought that was not going to happen. And they lost in a blowout. And in this one for third place, you would expect a team that is 8-2 to at least finish third, but they didn't. So they're turning out to be, in BAL Season 5 history, to be one of the most overrated teams in BAL Season 5. So in history. So it was a sad game for Al Ittihad, and APR did not disappoint because this is a game that was run on all cylinders. Everything was just clicking for APR. I mean, everything. So coming from losing to a Libyan side and beating an Egyptian side, this must be the most credible win for APR. And this was a video that I took some time to think about whether to make it or not, but I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts on this because it's very important that we understand what is really going on. So Alex Mpoyo was the star of the evening because he dropped 32 points. Jemar Randall, 17. Alou he had 10 rebounds. He grabbed 10 rebounds, and John Jackie's Jabozwa, he had 10 assists. So, yeah, I mean, the game was so uncompetitive to the point where we saw the APR team score 74 points in the at the half, and the Al Ittihad side were down 40 at the half. So there was no point even proceeding and watching, even and finishing the whole game, because it doesn't matter what Al Ittihad tried to do, they already quit. And in this is a game where APR played without the services of a Nuni Omot, and Nuni Omot was ruled out with an injury because he had an injury he sustained in the Al Ahly Tripoli game. So it was not even available to suit up to play for APR. And APR went ahead and beat Al Ittihad brutally. And they beat them from pillar to post to the point where, from a first timer who's watching BAL right now, would think that Al Ittihad were the worst team in BAL because of how poorly they looked. And I can say that with full confidence that I rated Al Ittihad highly. And it was unfortunate because I shouldn't have rated them highly. They have disappointed and they have choked away their chance at winning. And they're not even going to go back to BAL Season 6 at all because, man, in their local leagues, new champion crowned. So this might be it for them. So they're going to be preparing for BAL season 7 as we speak. So this embarrassment was the worst. And I must say, I was not happy with the outcome. I was not happy at all with the outcome. I was expecting a much more competitive game, and this was one of the most meaningless games. I was debating whether to make this video or not, but because of the historic implications and what I've seen APR do, especially in this game, having that huge in-game scoring record of 123 points, the first ever East African team to finish third, that goes to show you that there's a power shift, and North Africa has been dominating African basketball for quite some time now, and we are seeing the seismic shift in how people are advancing, especially in the rest of Africa, especially Sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa. We are seeing a huge change, and even looking at a team like APR, a team that in their BAL debut in BAL season 4, they failed to make the playoffs, and looking at where they are right now, finishing third, I can say they have achieved and they have overachieved their expectations, something that should never be understated because it's all up right now. Because if you look at even how other teams started, like the likes of Petro de Luanda, in the first ever inaugural season, they finished number 3. They finished number 2 in season 2, where they lost to USM. In season 3, they lost in the semis, and it was a very embarrassing situation. Season 4, they were able to win it all. So it was a trust in the process. And this is a building block for APR because now they have found a consistent way to be able to go ahead and challenge the top teams. And this has been one hell of a ride, especially for APR. I've seen this team, especially in the Nile conference. This is the last conference that tipped off, and they were able to show that they belong. I hoped that my Nairobi Thunder will be able to live to see the BAL playoffs, but they were knocked out and they were not ready at all, and they finished second last. But looking at how APR are able to represent East Africa was the difference. And you can see teams that have good infrastructure, teams that have uh, a very good local league and have good basketball infrastructure always succeed. And Rwanda have come a long way, especially with their ability to go ahead and defend home court, at least finish number 2 in the Nile Conference, having the BK Arena, having home court advantage in the Nile Conference because they have very good infrastructure. You're seeing it's all paying off. And also, APR's ability to sign quality players was the difference. Even, yes, they lost to Al Ahly Tripoli. That was a very, very gut-wrenching loss, but it was something that was bound to happen. I didn't think that the APR team had what it took to beat Al Ahly Tripoli, considering the fact that the Al Ahly Tripoli were up 2-0 on them. And in this season, you could even see the teams that were on a collision course were Al Ittihad and Al Ahly Tripoli. So this win APR have got, especially beating Al Ittihad, that shows that they've always been improving, and that shows that they belong in the conversation of one of the top teams in BAL season 5, especially moving forward to even BAL season 6, season 7. You will see the progression of APR through the years, and they have shown that they can mix it up with the top teams. They are not wannabe team. They're not fake teams like my Nairobi City Thunder, teams that think that they are good but they are not. APR have shown that they know how to scout. Looking at how they came out guns blazing from the first quarter, a 38-point first quarter, that was the strongest I've seen them, and they kept on building it. And even with their slow third quarter where they had a quarter low 17 points, all the other quarters in the first half and in the fourth, you could see they are all 30 plus points, and they never left an inch for Al Ittihad. Even looking at how even Al Ittihad tried to do a fake comeback in the fourth, they couldn't because that hole was too big to hide, and they got beat from pillar to post by 33 points. So this finishing strong for APR has dictated, who owns and who runs like East African basketball right now, especially comes to the club level. I know there are people who can debate me strongly and say, APR, this is a fluke season, but they can say there are other better teams in East Africa. But show me a team in East Africa that stood up against all these others and managed to go ahead and even qualify for even the BAL playoffs. East African teams failed. You had Kenya and we had Kenya and Rwanda, and they failed. And honestly, if you look at it closely, you'll see APR, they are always progressing. Even if you look at the key signings that they made, signings that add value to the roster, not deduct value to the roster. You're seeing even with a scoring slump in the Nile Conference in the 6 games that they had, they still managed to keep it together. Even in the postseason, they won against the Rivers Hoopers. They beat Petro in the first round. In the classification games. In the first round, they're able to beat Rivers Hoopers, eventually falling to Al Tripoli. So you can see, even with their record in the Nile Conference, it was far greater than even what Petro were able to do in the classification games. I know the Petro tanked that game. I don't know why they didn't want to be in that bracket where the Rivers Hoopers were. I really don't know. But all I'm just saying is APR have managed to take apart very good teams. They're able to beat Rivers Hoopers, they're able to beat Petro, and right now they've been able to beat the Ittihad side, a team that I put as the favorite. So yeah, this is quite interesting, and honestly, uh, I'm not holding my breath to see Al Ittihad even retain those players, because this team has already been broken up, and coming from this losing streak that they've had, this 2-game losing streak, it has ruined their fall from grace. It has ruined their run, and their fall from grace needs to be studied, because if you look at how this team started, they were 6-0. They got out scared by FUS Rabat. Then they got beat by Petro, something that I never expected to happen. I feel like Petro had. I felt like at the time Al Ittihad were the stronger side against Petro, but they lost. Al Ittihad lost, and looking at how they went down, this was somewhat of a quit game. And knowing for a fact that they're not going to be able, when they knew for a fact that they lost that game against Petro, they got their fight beat out of them, and they got nothing to play for. And that's the reason as to why, even if you look at even how they were responding to the game, there was no urgency. They really didn't care. They were just going out there lethargic. They're acting as if we don't have to be here. This is not the championship game, so why should we put any seriousness? But it's a game that is in front of you for third place. You're expected to at least take it a bit serious, because people are watching, and you know, this might be that time you can try to show that you can try to redeem yourself a bit with that and finish strong. But looking at how the Al Ittihad side looked, they got their fight beat out of them by Petro. And APR came to finish the job and collect, making history on them, and it's embarrassing. I mean, you can't even affiliate yourself to Al Ittihad, and Al Ittihad will go down as one of the biggest what ifs, and they'll go down in history as those teams that have had a very good regular season but couldn't get it done in the postseason. And this result, they had a very good record with an 8-2 record, but given their choke job in the semis, and also their choke job in the classification game in number 3 to get the third spot, it's pathetic. It is really. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section down below what you think about this. I mean, this was one of the most boring and horrendous games I've watched in BAL. And as we wait for the BAL finals, I mean, I don't know. Petro, will they be able to go back to back? Will Al Tripoli be able to fight back for Libya and be able to rectify at what Al Ali Benghazi did and what they failed to do? I mean, it's very hard to bet against the defending champions, especially knowing for a fact that they are back in the finals. I mean, from history, we have seen in BAL Season 1, USM lost to Zamalek in the first ever inaugural BAL season. And in Season 2, they're able to rectify their mistakes. And if you look at Petro made the finals in Season 2, and they're able to make it back in Season 4, and they won it. So will Petro make history as the first ever BAL team to go back to back and have the most championships? Because if they're able to win it, you can have 2. And will Al Tripoli be able to make history to win it for Libya and also for their club team? that is the big question. I mean, it's very hard. I mean, I've bet against Petro. I mean, it's very, very difficult for me to even bet in this one. But hey, I'm just going to wait to see what happens. I don't want to get burnt the way Petro has burnt my bracket. I mean, I bet against Petro, against USM. I bet against them against the Ittihad side. So man, I really don't want to get burnt again. I bet against this team. Honestly, sometimes I ask myself like, should I really bet against this team because they have proved me wrong through the years, and man, losing like that, I don't want to lose like that. But anyway, it is what it is. So do drop me a comments down in the comment section down below. What you think about that matchup in the finals? I mean, I'm waiting for it. I'm at the other edge of my seat. I'm just waiting for tip off. That game they have pushed it back, so it's going to be 5 p.m. where I am at. So I thought it was going to be at night in the evening, similar to what we saw. Even we saw like NBA Academy and South Africa Select play yesterday. One of the games just to test out the young guns. They played out very well, and I'm waiting for the finals. And I'm so happy to see that the third place game and the finals are not happening in the same day. At least Ball are able to space it out. And the finals, this is the biggest stage right now, and all eyes are on Petro de Luanda and Al Ahly Tripoli, the first team in the Nile Conference, the Al Ahly Tripoli, and the second team in the Sahara Conference. So the Kalahari Conference team have proven to be the most overrated conference ever. Because if you look at APR, they're able to beat the number 1 and number 2 teams in the Kalahari Conference in Al Ittihad and Rivers Hoopers, and you have seen a Sahara Conference team beat a Sahara. We have seen a Sahara Conference team in Petrodollar beat a Kalahari Conference team in Al Ittihad. So the battle is between Nile Conference and a Sahara Conference team. So Kalahari Conference looks like very overrated, and the other conference, like the Nile Conference, I'd put them in the same category as Kalahari because I felt like they were weak. But hey, I mean, anything can happen in Ball right now. So it is what it is. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notified because I'm going to be releasing a ton of content of this nature. And I'm out. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.